Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 190th episode of Book of Hours, our first run through YouTube playing as the artist. And we're sort of finishing up a day where we've been experimenting with a few different recipes. I'm starting to run out of elements of the soul to use, so we're probably hitting the end. I think I may have to save my my edge my edge tests for a later day. So I think probably what my next job's going to be is thinking some ways to get new items. So I'm going to take a peek in the sea caves. Gull Colony can wait. I do want to make sure that I take care of Crowcross Sands as well. I don't have a FET, so this will be one where we use the core. I think a trip on the moor would make sense as well. Again, that's a heart, rose, or scale operation, so... I'm also trying to think if there's any other areas I can plunder. I think it's really the Gull Colony and that's it, so... Fost it is. Thought I had Sky Stories somewhere in here. I guess I already used it, so... So I have the Arab and the health left. Now I do need to find something to do with this. I suppose getting a replacement element of the soul would be, or replacement Newman would be the way to go. I did use the Bells of Ys in order to specifically make the edge memory that I needed, but I've decided I'm going to do that later. So that's just kind of just going to sit in my inventory for a bit. That's fine, though. I mean, again, we're really just looking to wrap up the day. The other thing I can do, too, is I can switch out the Arab for something else if I need. So, Emiranus Spitali, a fragment of iron alloy, excuse me, meteorite carefully inscribed and polished. This object houses a Newman, a truth so powerful it can perhaps believe itself. Who gave us fire? Who gave us steel? What is the sound of dusk? Of what alloy is wind forged? Esoteric secrets of metallurgy and resonance are revealed, including directions towards the creation of a terrible bell. So I think I'm going to start the history of Hush House again at this point. So... Investigate the object. You won't use this up or consume it by doing this. I may want to consider, we can get Fragrant Chalice, we can get Agave Eterna. Actually, that wouldn't be a bad one to add in. It is summer. I am sitting on the bench outside the Sweet Bones, eating crumbly cheese and nettle wrappings and good black rye bread, soaking up the sun. And more gossip. I think I'm going to try and hang on to the old moment. I may change my mind on that later, but it seems reasonable enough to keep around for future use. Okay, Hendrik de Wolf. Hendrik de Wolf, first Baron Brankrug, known for his pious, merciless justice, granted Brankrug Isle in 1536 after the dissolution of St. Brendan's. So his niche with a plaque, who returned loyalty for loyalty and curse for curse. De Wolf had been a mercenary captain on the continent under the notorious Martin van Rossum. He was a hard man in a hard time, but not a simple one. He left Van Rossum's service after the sack of The Hague, apparently after a spiritual crisis. It is known that he was at one point training as a priest. When last pipe shrill and the wind is still. Wind in waiting. When the sun was redder, when the world was softer, and the 30 ruled the sky, the winds were better neighbors. So oddly enough, I actually think that would have given me the moth that I needed. The old moment didn't, but the wind in waiting wound up giving me that one moth that I needed. Anyways, that's fine. We can still play around with it. Alright, unexpected finds in the folds of earth and sky. Well, I'm happy to take the packages. More mackerel, so that one we can put straight into the pantry. Sea-strewn, salt-snared stuff. Mackerel, eat it while it's fresh, or keep it while it's salted. We've got a sound. So I know somebody was asking before about the senses. All of the senses are represented. We don't use sound as much, but in this case, a memory lasts longer than an echo. Of course, when speech came into the world, we could cast echoes into words. Things got more, and we could cast echoes into words. Things got more complicated. So that has a heart aspect. And we've got fear from the trip to the caverns. So at this point, we're really just waiting for the day to finish off. We don't have any elements of the soul. Actually, that's not entirely true. I can get my tuppence back, and rather than use it for money, I can open up the abandoned packages. Better now. So I will take advantage of that. Crack open the container. Delight in your discovery. Sorry, I needed a little tea. Okay, so mostly what I wanted to try and get done today was there were a few sort of to-do items that I hadn't quite pushed out. There's actually still one more in terms of pets that I was wanting to do. But I did want to get this chimeric larva back just so that I could get rid of any of the other ones that would make me, that are mysteries just because I haven't actually put the transformation into the Perilous Imago. And again, the idea behind this is not that I have to have a full inventory of, of every recipe inside of all of the skills. But what I would at least like to do is have like the mysteries that I have be proper mysteries, right? So I don't want to be wondering, what moth mystery am I forgetting? Just because, by some quirk of fate, I didn't try the moth when it was available to me. On the other hand, when I'm running into that scale stuff and I say, oh, you know what? I don't remember what item this was. That's a little bit more interesting. That tells me, okay, when I run into a book that maybe talks about doing something with scale, I might want to pay attention on these ones. And again, it could be something simple. It could be, another recipe for skin chuck meat or something like that. Not everything has to be the formula of the other setup. So like, I was fairly certain I would get serpent milk from Serpents and Venoms. Well, that may still be true. There actually could be a lot of different things that are not quote unquote new, but they're a different recipe in Serpents and Venoms. But at the very least, it's worth, that's something that's worth investigating in my view, because that really is, okay, I tried the obvious stuff. But again, it's also not a drop everything and do it kind of a challenge. So because we have some time while I'm waiting for other events in the game, I figured I could get through that list. Blue, or paint blue. The sky is rarely this color. I feel like I should put the serpentinite in a better spot. Okay, so we can let the day cross over. We'll lose all of these, but they're not they're not central to the process. And again, with luck, we'll get something from Oriflamme so we can have a clearer idea of what my priorities for tomorrow will be. Although I think off the top, definitely Crowcross Sands, the more the, you know, the Gull Colony, the caves, those are things that I'd like to sort of make part of my regular rounds. I will also get some more grapes at the garden, I think. I know I have a little bit of a surplus already, but I don't think it's a bad idea to have more things to feed my different pets with. Memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. All right, what do we have up next? The Grand Passage of the Hours. This is a VAC text. Valemian Burzgash's gazetteer of the patterns and rhythms of the hour's progress through the Mansis, from Concursum to Mallory, Mallory to Wood. So, expensive one, 5 tally, but we have plenty of money, so definitely something that we can work on. What we'll do is we'll buy that today, and then we'll actually work with the text the day after. Okay, so I'm going to make an early move to get a winning move, just so I can play around with that. I don't mind giving up a whist for it. I wish I had a better idea of what some of this was supposed to be. I definitely have a feeling that this would be one where the Forbidden Epic might be an option. Anyways, establish the synthesis of alternatives. So this opens me up for more, another Newman, and I think probably something with Moth just to, you know, push the odds in my favor. I also have quite a few that are options there. So loopholes will give me Knock, Moon, and Moth. The 3 rules are Heart, Moth, and Scale. There's our old favorite, Sun's Weakness. That's Grail, Lantern, and Moth. So if I felt that there was something with Lantern that was important to follow up on, I should probably consider that one. I think I'll probably go for the loopholes this time around. No, that's not the Great Counterfeit. It is Serpent, right? Okay. I'm gonna try hanging on to my Fet for a bit longer, so let's use the Tryst to read the Serpent Root. And that's a crack track text. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. Okay, at this point, I'm willing to let the timer go by. Again, we're really waiting on... we're really kind of waiting on getting this book to make something of the day. In fact, it's kind of hard for me to argue to keep talking with Mrs. Kill at this point. Except that I may just have a couple of ingredients or a couple of recipes where I'm like, you know, it would be nice to have a couple of extra memories in. So this just gives me a bit of an insurance policy to work with. I'm happy to have the Wind and Waiting. But in terms of things to clear out, so like using the Whist, the Metal, the Arab. Yeah, the Whist, the Metal, the Arab are the ones that are they're a little more expendable now, and the Shapt. Just because they don't get me items from the... they don't get me items from Crowcross Sands or the Moor or something like that. So we'll do the usual thing. We'll use the shop to earn a bit of money. We'll wait until we have the elements that we need to be able to do the experiments that I want, and then we'll we'll come up with a game plan for how today shapes up. Tomorrow we know we read the book, so it's really just a matter of filling in today's tasks. A massive rootstock, shiny with age, but somehow still somehow viable. Tiny spidery scratchings marked with embedded eggshell shards encode a cryptic message. Seaborn, tide-drawn, Menescate sister, witch lover. The House of the Moon will always have its messenger, though its messenger is different each time, in eye and flesh and heart. Fate's feats, posterns, loopholes, set down against the advent of eternity by powers favoring imperfection and impermanence. When eternity came into the world, certain prudent powers arranged loopholes, the House of the Moon, the persistence of possibility, the right to vengeance. In the right histories, those loopholes will open again. Okay, so I did say I was going to get some grapes, so let's use the core to gather in the summer, pluck grapes from the vine. I'm going to need to use the talk verb for a second too. But while I do that, let's use our whist to look at the second Baron Brandkrug, Thomas de Wolf. Okay, so we've had the orphan chick, but we haven't actually done anything with it yet. Now is the time to feed a peeping little thing. Its mother is dead or flown. Oh. Prefers eggs. Satisfy this creature's appetite. Food will make a hungry beast or a wild one cooperative. Okay, with Keeper level Edge, a winning move is a precursor to an invincible audacity. Now, there's nothing really new with this winning move, right? We've already tried it. I seem to remember I used to have a good trick for making parabait. So I need at least one leafy. There we go. This one's always, it's the second one that's a tough one for me. I'll try it. Yeah, I mean, the 10 doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, but I do at least have some basics to work with here. Oh, you know what? The serpent milk should be... yeah. Not as hard. So again, I'm not expecting miracles here, but right now I'm just trying to establish a couple of baselines in terms of things that I can do. Specifically, one thing I'm looking for here is like making the parabait. But on top of that, like I know with Ragged Crossroads, if there's supposed to be an edge here, I don't yet have it, and it's not so clear to me what the intermediate ingredient for that is. Okay. A couple of these are obvious. So like in terms of Edicts Martial, we still need to work out what the moon one is. That could actually be Black Sapphire Wash for all I know. I think we already did Disciplines of the Hammer. Okay. Sorry, did I say parabait? Perinculate is what I meant. So again, this isn't ridiculously exciting, but this does help me in terms of just some very basic, can I make this type of ink sort of material. Okay, actually, with that in mind, I'm trying to think if there is a way. So if I take Inks of Power, I know I'm not going to be able to bring in the memory I would want. But I could put the serpent milk in. And I can still bring in the cat's claw. I can even bring in the Arab. So I've already got 10. All right, but we already knew that we can make Perenculate out of that, so that's not as exciting. And then Inks of Revelation. I really never remember if we have a lantern or not. We do, okay. Again, we don't need to get clever. We just need to make sure we have the leaf and the serpent milk. Well, I could have actually said ahead of time that this wouldn't work just simply because what we're looking for is a 15. So this one's probably porphyryne. Okay, so we learned a little bit. Does it justify keeping the winning move around? I'm not so sure. Now I can try and see if we have any leftover larva tasks. I think probably the honey's still the best bet on this one. We still have a tryst left over. Okay, so again, I can probably afford to be a little more picky on these, but at this point I want to double check that I'm not leaving like the low-hanging fruit just lying. Well, wouldn't be lying around if it was low-hanging fruit, but like I want to make sure I'm not missing the really obvious ones. Although I should feel a little more confident given that, like, when it comes to the Perilous Imago, we kind of already covered. So I suppose the better question for me to ask, given that there's so many high-level moth ones right now, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different moths because of the skin shuck mead here. This one's completely filled out. This one has a couple of unknown ones, but it's less likely that these are going to be dedicated to moth. Although I do wonder, I'm sure I've tried this already, but I am curious if this is just me forgetting to put a regular honey in. Because sometimes you get 2 just because you want to allow for both types of honey. Okay, nothing we didn't already know there. So this one, it's not fair. I would put a lower, I discount whatever moth. Now this one, again, it feels like there should be a moth here. But there's a side of me that really wants to say that this might be, well then wouldn't I don't know. I am trying to think what the moth in Castum Terminale would... Well, it doesn't have to be in Castum, but anyways. I'm doubtful that it's a moth item there, let's say. This one should be full, yeah. This one, we do actually have a mystery. And it's a mystery that I don't believe is solved by adding honey. So, although I don't have a name day riddle, so maybe I should think about that. But anyways, the weaving and not working is a genuine, okay, this seems to be something different. And then this one is possibly not moth or knock related. Although I suppose, again, in the interests of completeness, okay, that one wasn't such a mystery. So yeah, I mean, again, it's not the most exciting type of housekeeping to do, but it really does help us eliminate some of the the things that look like mysteries but actually aren't. Okay, so Thomas de Wolf, this bust is carved from limestone. On each of the plaque, who saw what had not yet passed, Thomas de Wolf, called Baron Silence, second of his line, astronomer, oronoscoper, who followed in the footsteps of his long-deceased namesake. Oh, sorry, that's Jeffrey, this is Thomas. I'm trying to think, do I want to use the Arab in this case? Am I willing to give up the winning move? I think I am. So, on to the third bust with Walter. Excuse me. We're almost at the halfway mark of the day. Again, I'm not inclined to try and read this book today right now. It's Door and Wall, which we already have. Now, that is kind of nice because we know that Door and Wall is Knock and Forge, so at that point we maybe take a look at the bottom of the list and say, all right, what do I want to level up? So I'm thinking, Menace-Gate, Reflections and Solutions and Separations here. The other thing we should be getting more excited about is the fact that there's another book that we can look inside. And that's, again, this sounds very silly, but this is how I find those keys rather than just randomly putting together all of the different combinations. Reading a book is the faster way for me to actually figure out some of that stuff that I've been banging my head against. Okay, Walter de Wolf. We will read his niche. Who commanded the raising of the stair. Walter de Wolf, who found Hush House a drafty castle and left it a stately home, who will always be remembered for his cowardice, his sorrow, and his son Brian's treachery. Of course, one thing that would be nice is as we read these individuals to also maybe consult certain books. One of the ways that I organized the library before actually was I had sort of the baronial rooms, the church, the Church of the Unconquered Sun rooms, like basically the different, all of the different eras of Hush House sort of had their own rooms, and you could get a sort of chronological, a first approximation of chronological order, which I thought was kind of neat. All right, Full Belly makes a helpful friend. This beastie is now inclined to cooperate. Pet Gull, as noisy and demanding as it was in youth, but much bigger. All right, I believe that is all of the pets, by the way. I'll just do a quick inventory of what we have right now. So we've got the loyal dog. Walkies are surely a small price to pay for his unshakable fidelity. We've got a Stimpfling. Ava de Wolf taught her father Valentine how to hatch these silvery little villains, but he never learnt to like them. We've got a magnificent green cockatoo. On numerous occasions, this wonderful bird has remained almost entirely inaudible. We have got a cat. Oh, you are hoping to work on that desk. We've got a tame viper, an avid student of warm fireplace stones, warm mice, and warm milk. The new addition, a pet gull, as noisy and demanding as it was in its youth, but much bigger. The living relic, few of these have been seen in the world under this sun. We have the chimeric larva approaching the chrysalis crossroads, and the perilous imago. It's come so far, release it, and it could fly farther. We will not count the bees as pets. Oh, of course, let us not forget our dear friends Terence. Was this magnificent and indomitable beast named for the rector's indomitable and magnificent housekeeper? Best not to inquire too closely. And Tuppence, the other chicken. Tuppence's most notable quality, all observers will agree, is that she is not Terence. Okay, but we do have a couple things that we want to do, so we are going to interact with Terence now. I am now also going to have to start giving up some things that I find useful, so we'll give up a fet for now. Offer this beast my company. Who knows? Perhaps it will offer something in return. Didn't really manage the shelf space all that well. All right, the auction, well, it's not really an auction, but Oriflammes thanks you for your custom. So, Grand Passage of the Hours, again, that's tomorrow's reading. And we're getting close to a point where we want to start making some choices in terms of how we use the remaining elements of the soul, but we can take the shaft. Yeah, we can restore that one more time, I think. So what I'm really just trying to do here is recover the item that I lost from the pet gull. So, and now it suggests a meal would be welcome. On this one, I think I'm actually willing to wait on this one, because if I have a shaft that I'm restoring, then we can use that to get the egg back. Yeah, so we'll just keep that talk for, or hang on. I've got 30 seconds for a chat with Mrs. Kill. Mrs. Kill has seen more of the world than she usually lets on. Conversations with her yield the occasional surprise. And once we hit that 1 minute countdown, what we'll do is we'll employ the Corfet, Health, Faust, and Trist. We could do that right away, actually. I guess there's nothing telling me I have to wait. So, Gull Colony... So there are some that I have more expectation from than others. So the Gull Colony I don't really expect to get that much out of. Crowcross Sands is something where I'm like, okay, I would kind of, ideally, I'd like to get something out of this. Incidentally, all of my different... Yeah, so let's use the Fet for the walk on the moor. So now I can use the Trist here. I know the sea stories are here somewhere. There we go. Doesn't have to be sea stories. It just feels wrong not to use them. And I think I was going to look at the sea caves. So not much in terms of gardening, but we also don't have that much space either. So my options here, we could get Cat's Claw and Spring, Trumpeter's Lily, and... Trumpeter's Lily doesn't sound too bad. Better now. And as our last step, we will make sure that we feed our bird. So yeah, we'll obviously have to put away everything that we get over the course of today's work, but there are a couple of items that I'm specifically hoping that I get from my various investigations, but I am, again, trying to make sure that I make time for some investigation around the house. Again, going over the previous librarians or whatever, you know, sort of time-appropriate equivalent seems like a good idea. I also, you know, we have done this before, but I don't think it would hurt to take a quick look at some of these other busts and just be able to talk about them. Talking with the animals does kind of count as at least 2, probably more elements of the soul occupied, so I'm a little less likely to, you know, just randomly play with the menagerie. A full belly makes a helpful friend. But yeah, in general, what we're doing is we're taking the time just to refamiliarize ourselves with a few things inside the house that we might have encountered before and one reason or another didn't. Okay, sure. Doesn't look like it's precarious there at all. Granite slab, good lord. I think we do have room in the room, but yeah, if I get more slabs, I'm gonna have a bit of a problem. Gull's egg, fair enough. At Brandkrug, even the hours are kind and the years are kinder. This egg may stay viable for quite a while yet. And an outsized egg. An ostrich egg? A crocodile egg? Surely neither. So we did have one of these things sitting around and I had to use them. So I can put it out here. Oh, looks like we don't have space. Well, that's inconvenient. Let's see if we can find a home for it in the kitchen without completely rearranging everything. So it feels like it should be able... Well, there we go, beside the wine. Maybe if, you know, there are drops on it, it'll wind up looking like an Easter egg. Okay, now I think I'm running out of space in terms of my flower rooms. I know there were a couple of gaps, but I think I've more or less filled them at this point. Well, nope, even this won't do. All right, daybreak. Memory fades, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. So we spent a little bit of time. I didn't get the things that I was looking for from the from my exploration, but we're not done summer yet. It is a bit of an idle summer because once we have finished the grand passage of the hours, we're really just waiting for fall. Now, fall might get interesting just because there's the possibility that we could open up the menacing phosphorescence. And I think if we can't, what I'll do is I will experiment a little bit with the treasures of the house. There should be at least one more that we can... should double check that actually, but yeah, really Hyksos is the thing that's kind of holding me up right now. But all of that can be handled in a future episode. Again, I know this was a bit of a longer one, but I also, where I can, I try not to end and start with the recipe collection, because I kind of figure if people just find the recipe stuff completely tedious, they can skip, you know, just like they can just stop that episode and move to the next one. But if you end and start, then it's just a little annoying. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, but until next time, take care.